lived in Sheffield since first year, and I've had 2 different estate agents over my time. That's my long time. And yeah, I mean, personally, for the stuff that I've kind of experienced and stuff that kind of happens is, or advice in general, I think the first thing I did when I moved into a new room is I took lots of pictures of stuff like marks, scruffs, stuff like that, because you got to be careful about them wanting to get back the deposit or the deposit you put in. And if you want it back, you got to make sure that you, at least if something's broken, like in my first year, I had a broken cupboard, either getting them to fix it straight away or letting them know about it and having them write on the deposit so that it doesn't come off. What about your kind of experience in the first year?
Well, as a little introduction, my name is Erin. I have also been in Sheffield for 3 years, and I have also been with 2 different letting agents. I have also lived in houses with little people, like 1 or 2 by the end, and I've also now lived in houses with 6 and 8 people. So there's a large variety of how many people you live with. When I first moved in, I didn't take photos of anything, and word of warning, I then struggled with getting my deposit back in my second year because there was a broken drawer that I super glued back together. They realised that it was cracked, and I got a little deduction on my deposit for it.
Yeah, I mean, it just kind of happens. Like, first year, broke our hob, had to have the whole hob replaced, and that was 80 quid split between 8 of us. Yeah, I think it just kind of happens. That kind of stuff just happens as part of like student renting, and just kind of what it is. There is almost like kind of like a bit of patience, and almost like a lot of the time, especially in first year, like you got to remember a lot of people aren't actually house trained, or like, and they have no idea. Like, you got to keep in mind like things like not cleaning up dishes, not like breaking things, not saying anything.
Nobody mops.
Nobody
That's a
mops.
Big one.
It's just something you got to live with, and in fairness, like have been guilty of it at times, not cleaning up and stuff. Like, it just kind of happens. You get caught up in stuff, and you don't want to clean up really.
No, I mean, I think the worst thing that happened in my first year was this whole chair drama. So somebody in my flat had a chair in their room. There was a chair that was they'd moved the chair outside of their room. That chair had then broken because we had people over. And nobody wanted to clean that broken chair. So somebody, and it definitely wasn't his chair, got fined for it. And it was this whole thing about chasing people up because it cost 150 quid.
No, that is a lot of money.
It was a lot of money for a chair.
But in my second year, it's kind of like a smooth transition to the second year. But,
I think it's a bit easier because you are in a house. I think student accommodation has a tendency to not feel like a home.
Yeah, I think that's a good point.
So if you go into a house, I think people tend to be a bit cleaner. We've written down a little story here where someone had a cleaner fortnightly, but they only wiped down surfaces. So I suppose that fortnightly cleaning, because we had a cleaning service in our second year.
Yeah.
It would come in on occasion.
Did have one in first year as well, if I remember. It came in like was actually fortnightly like that. We used to have, but they would clean everything. We used to get in trouble for having like glasses on top of our cupboards. That was a big thing.
It's always the windowsill.
Yeah, or the windowsill. Yeah.
We all got an email about that at one point.
Yeah, but yeah, I think everyone also the second year, everyone kind of like, it's almost like a fresh start, and everyone kind of wants to like, when you come to a house that's clean, like you want to start keeping it clean and kind of maintain that kind of presence. I mean,
you're also closer with your second year flat.
Yeah, of course. Sometimes, well, depends on who you got to live with though. Like, you know, I guess word of warning is don't move in with your flatmates unless you do want to live with them.
Yes, make sure you know them well before you move in with them, because some people have some very strange habits.
There is honestly, yeah, exactly. You don't, and also like there's a period where after the Christmas holidays you kind of come back and you're different. Like it's like a weird energy that kind of comes about.
Yeah.
And everyone kind of just like, so the first 3 months, everyone's really like going out together, but like once that Christmas time period hit, like 2 of my flatmates just disappeared off the face of the earth.
Yeah.
But yeah, I guess like a recommendation is like, don't feel stressed to get your housing in November.
Yes.
There is lots of housing, particularly in Sheffield, to go around. Like my house this year, I only got it in April of this year.
And you have to find another one.
Well, I'm not actually staying on. I'm not staying on. Well, I don't know what. I'm trying to become paralegal, but that's a different story.
Tangents.
But yeah, no, like you don't need to, like, I only found my house in April, and I got a nice house. Granted, it's a bit spenny, but, like, you know, don't wait till April. Obviously, that's like last minute. But
Yeah.
even then, like, there is lots of houses to go around, so don't be too afraid or too worried about finding housing. I think just focus more on people when you live with. Like, I love the house I live with second year, which is lots of fun. Everyone was mates.
I think there is a thing to be said. I don't know if you've seen on Facebook, but sometimes people are looking for renters and landlords quite a while afterwards, maybe even during the semester. The only word of warning for that is that there are a lot of scams out there. You also do not know who you are responding to on Facebook.
Yeah, exactly. And but in saying that, I do have friends and know people that have joined through Facebook and become in the housing. They actually love their housemates. So it's not the be all end all, but do by all means proceed with caution.
Yes. But going back to the main focus of the podcast today, we were having a little bit of a talk about first-hand experiences. We got a couple written down here if we want to go through them. I mean, we can't say the landlords' names out loud, unfortunately. However, these are stories that we were sent in or gathered. So
so I think I'll start off with the first one.
Yeah.
So people that live up in Crooksmoor, which is like the main kind of student area. It's a pretty cool. A lot of my mates live on Crooksmoor. Like, I'd recommend it as an area to live in.
Yeah.
Up in second year, just it's close to the uni, and it's just where a lot of the good pubs is and stuff.
That's where I was living in second year.
Yeah. But like people have had things like, you know, squirrels in the attic, and that has taken a number of weeks for the landlord to resolve. And they basically like ate through wires and stuff, but also like climbing into walls.
Yeah.
And it took a month of emailing back and forth and numerous attempts to get rid of them. They were finally able to block the entrance into the house, which the squirrels were using, subsequently resolving the issue. But, you know, months of back and forth dealing with that is not really what you want to be doing, especially when you're studying.
At night as well.
Yeah. Like, especially in second year. Second year is when it like really kicks up a notch.
Yeah.
I mean, we both do law, and I think my second year was just like difficult, very difficult, especially with all the application and stuff. Like, you do want that time, that kind of safe space when you get home. You don't have to be putting up with this ridiculous squirrels and stuff.
Ridiculous squirrels and dirty dishes.
It's like Sheffield's dream.
The Sheffield.
That is the Sheffield dream.
Yeah, there is another story here about someone saying that they had a broken radio which broke during the spring and summer, and it was on full power constantly during multiple heat waves. It took them 3 months to come and fix a faulty radiator. I was very fortunate in my second year when we had a faulty radiator. It only took them 2 days. However, 3 months during the heat waves, that's such a risk of heat stroke, and you don't want to be in the house at that point.
It's just unbearable, I can imagine. Like,
yeah.
Especially like this year was quite hot. I mean, Sheffield doesn't get as hot as like where I'm from, which is like down in London.
Yeah.
But like, you know, it's still ridiculously hot, and you come in sweating and your radiator's going full blast. I actually just.
Well, I was gonna say, like, imagine you're on top floor though. If you're in the attic room, that would be sweltering.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah, another one, same issue. But there was also a slight fault in one of their fridges and freezers. But they did get a brand new fridge and freezer the same day, so they weren't able to fix the radiator in the same day, but they were able to fix the fridge and freezer. There's no consistency there, and it's relying on your landlord is a big thing, especially when you've just moved out of home in a new city, in your second year, living with people that you might not know as well. You want it to be fixed on consistency.
Yeah, and it's a thing with like contracts and stuff. It's like a lot of the time, it was my first time properly looking at a housing contract and stuff. I mean, it is different if you're a student, because our tenancies are a little bit different to renting.
Yeah.
I'm sure if Peter Dell could come on, he'd give us a nice little rant about it.
Oh,
but basically the contracts work a little bit different in terms of tenancies, and you have a little bit I think you still have the same rights, but you like reading the contract for the first time and understanding what it was saying and understanding kind of the rules behind it. You do just have to be careful, make sure you read it carefully, but like also do like make sure you check the place you're moving before first.
Yes.
The stuff like, you know, you got to think about things like flood risks. Like it does rain a lot.
Do not rely on other people to go and check out the house.
Yeah,
that was my mistake in second year. Was I relied on 2 people to go and check on the house. They did not check it thoroughly enough. We'd found things like mold, as I said, the broken drawer set.
Oh, sorry, the broken drawer.
the broken drawer set. So do not make sure you see it with your own eyes as well.
Yeah, I think and also it's just quite nice to have an extra pair of eyes, kind of giving you a little bit of an understanding of what it's going to be like as well. Because you got to imagine yourself living there for the next year.
Yeah.
Because once you're locked into that tenancy, you can leave it and whatever.
It's difficult.
But it's difficult. So you kind of some landlords get you to do a guarantee agreement.
Yes.
Which means that even if you leave, you'll still be paying the bills for it.
Unless you find a replacement.
Yeah, or your house will be paying for the rest, like making up your difference.
Yes, yeah.
So this is another thing to keep in mind with terms of who you're living with, because people do drop out after the first year, and I know a lot of people I've seen in first year never seen again.
Yeah.
Yeah. So just keep that in mind. But also, I mean, don't hold it against them. They're probably going through a tough time, but it can happen, and it will. Like, it does add up to a lot of money. So do keep that in mind.
Yeah. But again, if that happens and you're not in a position to pay, you can always go and access legal advice and service. The citizens advice page.
Oh, what a nice little smooth transition. Yeah, citizen advice.
Citizens advice page
has got, like, in general, there's citizen advice which kind of gives you a lot of advice on just general things, and there's quite a good little web page to go to if you're struggling with any legal problem that you don't know about. Like, I literally just typed up student tenancy rights, citizen advice, and then it comes up with all your kind of like a general kind of advice and what you can and can't do.
Yeah, so things like your council tax, and because that's really hard. A lot of students, we've had letters about our council tax, and we've had to contact the landlord to sort that out as well. My landlord this year had me fill out a tax form before, or like a council tax form before I moved in, so they were actually on top of it. But yeah, stuff like council tax form, like as a student, you are exempt from tax. Yeah.
Whilst you're studying.
Don't be threatened by that really large number that comes in the mail.
Yeah. And you also do not have to pay your TV license.
Yes, you don't. If your parents pay your TV license, obviously, please check this out online and double check what we are saying. But if your parents pay a TV license, there is a large chance you do not have to pay your TV license. A lot of renting does include it anyway.
Yeah. I think mine did as well. A lot of them.
Yeah.
The ones that include bills. Will likely have your TV license included, but just be careful if you're going for ones that don't include bills. You've got to do it all yourself.
Yep.
Yeah, one of my friends this year, he's done it all by himself, and he had an issue with having Wi-Fi for 2 months. Yeah. So that was definitely a problem.
A lot of people do it individually. You can get packages with things like uni homes.
Yeah.
And not with that specific package. However, there have also been issues with packages in past as well. And
yeah, no, I've definitely had a couple of letters coming in if you need to pay a TV license, but it's like, anything that's addressed to your landlord as well, you probably shouldn't look at, and it's for your landlord's eyes, and you don't have to worry about it.
Yes, if post is not directly addressed to an occupant or yourself, it's probably best not to open it.
Yeah.
If you are getting, it's a good point actually, if you are getting mail from last tenants, it might be worth chasing up the landlord to see if they have a new address for them. Some people can get some very important mail lost. Yeah,
I saw all Tesco club cards and stuff.
Oh, indeed, yeah.
Big
that's
issue,
a big one.
especially like.
We've had a few.
Yeah, another couple of Tesco club cards, Nectar cards, those kind of stuff comes through the mail quite a bit.
But going back onto student renting, it is to be noted that, again, looking at the Citizens Advice page, you do have a right to repairs and safety in your accommodation. So when you were talking a little bit earlier about your experiences, you have every right to complain and chase up landlords. Don't feel like because they are a company or because they own the building you are staying in, you don't have rights to go and complain.
Or if they just ignore you.
Yeah, well, don't let them ignore you.
They're not supposed to ignore you. Yeah, stuff like heating systems and, flooding and stuff like that, they should be dealing with as soon as possible. It's their responsibility to ensure that the accommodation is free of damp and condensation.
Yes. I also believe, don't quote me on this, but I do believe it is the issue to deal with rodents as well, rodents and pests.
Oh, yeah, no.
Because of a disease.
yeah, they have to, 100%. And stuff like that. I mean, my shower has black mold in, which is quite common. Don't be afraid of the fact that it is mold. Well, it's not that harmful to you. It's just from when, your fan doesn't work in your bathroom very well and it doesn't filter out the air properly.
Yeah.
stuff like that. So it kind of just like builds up, and it's almost like hot, damp air from your hot shower
Mhm.
is what causes the mold to grow. It's not really that dangerous. If you want to deal with it and you don't want to wait for your landlord, you can just use white vinegar spray.
Yes.
That's
The pink stuff is really good as well.
what's the pink stuff?
Oh, it's a little tub. Your mum's probably bought it before, but it's a little tub and it says the pink stuff on it, and you can scrub off rust from pans and black mold, and it's quite decent. Obviously, make
Yeah.
sure you're anti-backing it after that.
Yeah.
But to get rid of the actual black mold, it's good stuff.
Oh, I didn't know that.
And
But yeah, so don't. I think in terms of like that kind of mold, it's more like, oh my god, when I moved in to my house in second year, I came back and my entire bed sheets were moldy. Some of my bags and stuff were moldy. Some shoes were moldy.
from condensation.
Partly my fault. I didn't I probably should have. Well, basically circulated the air better in the room. It was quite a big room, but I didn't have any issues with mold in that room after that. By the way, it was just then, because it was just left over summer and summer was really hot, and it just made my entire stuff go moldy.
Did you maybe leave like a couple of pairs of slightly damp clothes from the dryer out? Because that's happened to me before.
I don't think so, but it might have been like they were maybe just damp in transit. I don't know, or like it was raining or something, and they just got wet like that. I don't know. I can't really remember, to be honest. But I remember coming back and it just my room stunk, and there was mold all over my bed sheets and stuff, which I had to throw away.
Oh no, that's a shame. Because then you have to track it all the way down to B&M, which is in the middle of town.
Oh, luckily I had a car. Luckily I had my mum's car.
You're
Mum's
lucky.
car.
We have to
But
walk
yeah.
all the way. Doing that with a bin the other day because when we first moved in, we didn't have bins because we didn't realise that wasn't in the contract. So we had to go and pick
same
up.
with me. So that is something I had to do. I bought bins and stuff.
Went and bought
Yeah.
bins. We had to carry them all across the middle of the tram lines.
Nice.
I know.
Nice. Speaking of that, stuff like, some accommodation stuff don't have a separate food waste bin, and that is just the general bin.
Yes.
So if you have, I know in first year I had a food waste bin that went to a separate food bin. But in second year I didn't have that, and in third year I haven't had that. So just keep in mind that's not a thing.
No. It's not required. However, it is nice to have if you can get yourself a little food waste bin.
Yeah. Otherwise your bin stinks of food.
Yeah. And you get the lovely bin juice at the bottom.
Yeah, it's horrible. Especially I've lived with 8 people both years, and 8 people's waste, it piles up fast, and you will be doing the bins a lot.
How many washing machines do you have though?
1 washing machine and 1 dryer.
That must be so fun every week. Do you have a rota, or
Um,
do you all just go for it?
Just go for it. Whenever it's free, right? It's free, free for all, really.
The Hunger Games.
No, you
the
just make it
washing
work.
games.
And obviously, like, the idea is that you live with your friends, right? So,
Exactly.
but none of us can really talk about living by ourselves, though. I just noticed that none of us actually know what it's like living with
No.
ourselves.
I mean,
So-
I've lived with one other person before. And
What was that
obviously
like?
It's well, it was my partner at the time, so it was nice. It was comfortable. However, I do feel like I missed a lot of uni experiences by doing that in my second year. I feel like I wasn't going out as much because that is a big part of it. But, pros of it were things like the house was kept to a really good standard because we would clean it together. We prepped meals for each other. It was quite nice in that way. There was meant to be 3 people living there. One of them moved houses, so it was just 2 of us. So it was nice. I would say be careful. It does get a little bit lonely, though, especially if you're living by yourself. Please make sure you're not isolating yourself.
Yeah, that's a big thing. I think just touching on that a little bit, my experience this year, I'm not living with any of my friends. I'm living in a random house with 8 people, all who are nice. But I'm big on so now I've picked up kind of societal sports and stuff. I do volleyball outside of uni. Well, no, with the uni, but outside of lectures and stuff. But also I make sure to see my mates quite a bit.
Yeah.
So yeah, make sure you are keeping in touch. And to be honest, I don't think I'd recommend it second year. I think it's quite a big. It's quite tough.
I'd say it makes it a lot harder, especially going into the third year. I'd say if you ever did want to live alone, third year would be your best option.
Or post-grad, yeah.
Or post-grad, because you're not feeling any pressure to then apply in your third year, and you feel like you don't know people. I really struggled to find a house in third year. I'm very lucky in the house that I got. I love the girls I live with. But you will feel that pressure a little bit, and it's perchance worth not living solo or with one other person.
Yeah, it's also a lot of fun living with people. Like, yes, it's messy. Yes, there's things that don't get done. Yes, you're gonna have a little bit of disagreements on how things should be done. Like me personally, I despise people that leave their clean washing on the side next to the sink. Like, if it's clean, just put it away. Like, why is it on the side? What's he doing there?
I've got a pile of clean washing on the table right now.
Actually does my head in. It's actually my biggest pet peeve. Like, I understand if it's dirty, like you're busy, whatever, fine.
Yeah.
But just leaving it on the side clean, like you've done all the washing, you know the hard part, just dry it and just move on. Yeah, but like, you know, I put up with that stuff.
Put up with that stuff.
You put up with that kind of stuff, but like,
You do.
like, I don't regret any of it. Like, I've had so much fun.
I was gonna say things like we have movie nights in my flat, and we
Yeah,
all
that's a
cook
big
for each
thing.
other. Movie nights are fantastic. If you bring all your duvets down, if you're very close with your flat like I am, bring all your duvets down. You can all have like a little pillow fort. But it's good fun to do it like that. Moving slightly back on though, paying the rent, that's always a daunting task.
Yeah.
When your student finance comes in and then goes away immediately.
Yeah, but also make sure you have enough student finance. Don't spend it on anything else. I know a couple of people who are struggling because they spend their student finance on things they probably shouldn't be, or less important things other than your rent.
Exactly. And you can pay your rent early. A lot of people don't know that. You can pay your rent. It does not have to be on the date, which it says on the contract. Obviously, it is better to do it that way. But landlords aren't going to complain if it's going into the account a little bit early.
Yeah, I pay mine a little bit early.
Yeah.
I pay mine a couple of days early.
Same.
But it depends on how it is. So like if you're second year, like my second year house, you pay in every couple of months you pay like a chunk of rent.
Yeah, that's how we're doing it this year.
But my one this year I'm paying monthly.
So
So
had the
it just
option.
yeah. Well, they actually would actually just pay monthly. They just like to like that. I don't know why. But you know, so just also look at your contract terms. Look at how it is. Like it will normally say the installments. It says it will be paid in on the contract.
Yeah.
And roughly how much. Keep in mind as well. So this is something that's also quite important. Your contract for second year starts in July normally or June. Some start in August, September.
Yes.
But keep in mind it's a year-long contract. So my first year one, I don't know. I think it's the same for you as well. Was 8 to 9 months long,
Yes.
which is different. So do keep that in mind.
I made the big mistake of not saving enough money for that first rent payment. So I had to find other ways to pay that first rent payment for my second house. They weren't the best. So make sure that you are looking at the contracts you are signing and you are assigning money. Do not spend it on your birthday party like I did.
Yeah, and I mean, speaking of parties and stuff, we threw quite a big one in like second year and stuff, and I've been to a couple in like second and third year since. If you want to do that, it's by all means fine. I think just letting your neighbours know, just giving the kind of general like, because parties have been shut down or been noise complaints and stuff. So just let them know. Most of the time, I mean, if you're living in Crooks and stuff, it's just kind of like the natural way of things, really. There are families in Crooks, but they're normally up away from Crooksmoor Road and stuff.
They're more like...
Yeah, so, but like, just let your neighbours know, and they'll probably normally be more than okay with it.
Yeah. I would
stuff like
say
that.
check your contract. There was a little sneaky clause in our contract that said no music past 11.
Really?
Yeah, so we did have to be careful with that one. Obviously, when we did have that party, we did let the neighbours know. In fact, they came in, took a few beers and left. But be aware of that. If you have got something like that in your contract, a good piece of advice, have an earlier party till about 10:30 and then get everyone down to West Street.
Yeah, no, that's normally how most of my parties go. Some of them go for ages in the morning, and I've been to some, but like normally they have like DJs and stuff. So it's like that's something to keep there for. I went to this one. It was like you had to pay for it. I had to pay £2 entry, but it was like a full like 4 DJs, and it's like each did a set for an hour and a bit. So that was quite fun. But it was really sweaty in a small tiny room in a house.
It is really good living in Sheffield in your second year because you do have that basement privilege. I don't know if you do you or have you had a creepy basement yet?
Well, no. Well, actually, both the places I've been to, the basement's been converted into rooms. So I was actually living in the basement in my second year. I was in the catacombs. I was in the trenches. My God, did it get cold! Especially it had like the walls were like there's no insulation in the walls. And obviously the way like the student houses, they just do it. They'll just chop up any room and make it into a bedroom.
Yep.
And a lot of them, my one set, he didn't have any insulation.
No.
So it got very, very cold sometimes. I
That was
remember,
so sad in
but
winter.
that house in general was quite cold. I remember one of my housemates came back in like early January, just after Christmas. Sorry, after New Year's. I think it was like 9 degrees inside the house.
9 degrees. That's
Keep in mind,
ridiculous.
like normal like temperature for a house is like 21, 22.
Yep.
And that's like, that's comfy.
9 degrees. That is
9
Arctic
degrees. It was
levels.
Oh, yeah, you just walk in with your jacket on and you're still cold. It's probably even colder than it is
I
outside.
hope your heating worked.
Oh no,
otherwise-
it did. But this year my house is like way better.
Oh, good. Good.
in
At least you've
terms
got a
of-
better house
yeah.
now.
I have an ensuite this year. Bloody gas.
I mean, we had
I
the
miss that.
privilege of having the creepy basement in our second year.
I've been to a couple of creepy basements in my time.
We had a stone table. This is completely irrelevant, but we had a stone table and it had like marks on it. And we were convinced that the house was haunted and that those markings meant something. And we used to take
Nice,
people in there
nice.
to show everyone, which was fun to do in second year. We have to move back onto the topic at hand,
Yeah.
however, which is the main topic we were meant to be discussing today, which is the new renters' rights bill.
But basically, currently, a landlord can basically evict you for no reason whatsoever. They don't need a legal reason. But you do have to keep in mind, you do have the right not to be harassed or illegally evicted by your landlord. Harassment and illegal evictions are criminal offences, which means your landlord can be prosecuted. But they're also civil offences, so if you could take actions against them in county court, just like your landlord's behaviour and / or compensation. But they do have the right to kick you out for no reason at all. But they are, with this new renters' rights bill, they are, I believe, changing that.
They might try and change it.
It still hasn't passed yet. Just so I remind you again.
However, there's a little note up here that says not university-owned accommodation. We can talk a little bit about how that's slightly controversial. I
Yes.
understand why, as if someone needs to be removed from university.
Oh yeah, and I guess like if university accommodation is a bit different because it's connected with university. So obviously, your behaviour and your actions and stuff are a reflection
Of the university.
of the university, but also it's the university wants to keep everyone else in your house and tenancy and everyone else, including university staff, safe. There has been situations I've heard in the past where you got to keep in mind that everyone that comes to uni, a lot of them come with good intentions, but so there are obviously going to be a select few that don't or do things they shouldn't be doing.
Yes.
And the university has a responsibility to both protect you and the university and any of its staff. So they might kick you out for that still, and they're still allowed to do that.
Yeah.
But do you want to touch into a bit of the new renters' rights bill?
Yeah, let's go into that a little bit. Sorry guys, we made a little mistake there. The Act has actually completed its passage in Parliament as of the 22nd of October and did receive its royal assent on Monday the 27th of October. However, as of November 2025, a number of the measurements have not come into force. The government will publish a separate timeline for outlining the plans for implementation.
This is on the government website, so do check it out for yourself. It gives a bit more of a background on what we spoke about and also goes over a bit more detail of what's going to happen.
Cool. Back to the podcast. So, landlords will no longer have to be able to take more than 1 month's rent in advance, which means that you will not find it hard. Well, it will be less hard to climb into renters' agreements, i.e. for nicer places. There are some places that are quite nice, but they make sure that they take a couple months' rent firsthand.
Sorry, just to kind of interrupt you there. Keep in mind that's different from when your contract starts. When your contract starts and they ask you for money straight
Yep.
away, they are allowed to do that.
Yes, yeah.
Just so it's clear, that's different. Not that you wouldn't get that wrong, but just so everyone knows. Yeah, that is different, and they can ask you for money like when the contract starts, and that's normally kind of how it goes.
Yeah. There is a note here that says it could make it difficult for international students who don't have guarantors in the UK, which I think is interesting.
Yeah, I think it's
yeah.
difficult because they're not UK citizens. They
No.
aren't
They can't just pay a
levied
couple
to the same
months.
rights we are as UK citizens.
Yeah. Which means that because quite a few will pay up front, quite a few months just to make sure they've settled into a new placement, which would make it harder for international students to then find accommodation, which moving to a new country anyway
It's already a
to
lot.
study is already a lot. Again, will probably be living with other people. It's all of the other issues that we have already spoken about in this podcast, added on to the fact that they may find it a little bit harder to rent because they have no guarantors.
Yeah.
A guarantor, by the way, is someone who you put forward.
Yeah,
if
so
you can't pay rent.
this will normally be like normally it's your parents. You put on the thing as a guarantor. So I've got my mum as my guarantor, and if I leave the contract for whatever reason, I want to drop out of university, then she would be paying for my rent and stuff on my behalf, or basically ask me for money to pay for it. But like the idea is that if I leave, there's someone else that's definitely going to pay.
Yes. Yeah.
And touching on that a little bit. In terms of dropping out of university, so fixed term tenancies will change to periodic tenancies. This means it will basically allow you to leave the contract easier if you drop out of university, and it means that tenants can decide when they want to end their contract, like in June, and or when exams are finished. But if you are on a joint contract, you will still need to agree with your housemates when you all want to end the tenancy, which would be quite nice.
It would be lovely.
If you start in September, you still have to keep paying till September, even though you're not at university anymore.
Exactly, and then you don't get the student finance, which means everyone has to rush straight into work.
So exciting.
So
God,
exciting.
It's just so exciting.
It's usually hospitality as well, which is such riveting work.
I love hospitality.
I love hospitality, guys.
I feel bad for anyone that works in hospitality. It's actually just, it can
you.
be. Well, I work in hospitality as well. But yeah, it's a rough experience.
Law students and hospitality, what a mix.
I think, to be fair, like students in general, some of them are. Back onto topic. As a result of this new bill, there'll be a private rented schedule sector. Hang on, what it says? There will be a new private rented sector landlord ombudsman.
A new private.
This means that landlords will have to join a complaint scheme. So if anything goes wrong, there is a formal and more affordable way to complain without needing to progress further to court. This is a big thing. I think in terms of getting your deposit back and stuff.
Yep.
This is quite a big thing because like I know this is how the world works, but like fighting for £100, £200 is not worth the legal fees or the trouble. No. So this kind of gives you a way to actually get your money back without being kind of scammed.
Exactly, without someone charging a certain amount of money for a chair.
And stuff like that. And it just basically is able to hold landlords more accountable, which is a big thing.
Yes.
And I think as students, particularly, we are not subject to quite as nice rights as those in a rental agreement.
No.
So yeah, it's a good thing to keep in mind, and it's a good thing to pass. It'll be a great thing for future students. There's also a private rented sector database. So details about property you're renting include things like safety certificates and loads we put out on public databases. This means that they are able to check your landlord or who your landlord is and any kind of details you are or like things you want to know about the house before you go into the renting agreement, which is great.
Which would be really good for things like history. What has the landlord been doing before this? How were they with other people? I think it's always worth having that conversation. That's actually
does the house has the house have mouse problems?
The house does.
Has the house? I know slugs as well. Slugs are another thing here because it's quite.
Slugs are a big one.
Nice. Slugs are also a thing. So you think rats are bad, you've got slugs and silverfish. Another thing.
You can get triple whammy: slugs, silverfish, and mice.
Oh wow, it's just so lucky.
So much protein.
Things like slugs are just annoying.
Yeah,
they're just annoying, and some of them do just get everywhere. Like I've had another kind of people we've asked have basically just or told us about is the fact that just slugs are just all over their house, and you just call them because you got to think for the 8 hours you're asleep or whatever, or you're up in your room. They're out there. They're crawling their way in.
It's always that little trail you see on the floor that's going just underneath. Not that I'm talking from personal experience. You see just going underneath the couch, and then you have to hunt for it, which is such a fun challenge. Yeah,
so slugs, and then I guess silverfish as well.
Oh, silverfish. I've never had an experience with silverfish.
Neither have I. I've gotten very lucky. I've never really had an experience with it. I've only found one dead one, and that was it. And that was in one of the bathrooms. But yeah, silverfish is a bit of an issue. I've heard lavender's quite good to deal with them, but that's something I heard a while ago, when I first started uni, which is like 3 years ago now.
We'll have to get someone to try it out and let us know. Is lavender a good way to get rid of silverfish? See, I always think of silverfish like Minecraft, so I have no idea what they look like. don't
Well,
know
they pretty much look pretty similar to Minecraft. To be fair, I'm not gonna lie. Like when I saw it, it was like this tiny silver thing. Like no big. I guess you can see on the podcast. Like literally no bigger than that.
Crawling around your showers.
Yeah, showers or like in your rooms and stuff. It like,
Ooh.
you know, I would just recommend like if you got like boxes under your like plastic boxes or like stuff where you put storage in under your bed. Like mine, I put under my bed like a bunch of boxes. I would just keep in mind, just checking them occasionally, just in case you got silverfish in there.
Silverfish and mould. That's a big one.
Yes, and mold. I think as general kind of concluding thoughts, look at your contracts.
Yes.
Check out things like citizen advice. Oh, thought I'd also add free law. Free law is a pro bono service the university provides, which I am part of, but I'm not allowed to give legal advice out on here, so don't get excited. But they do. With the university, they advise on things like renting and housing agreements. So long as it's not against the university, there's also a bunch of other things on the actual. If you just search free law, University of Sheffield, it comes up with their link and it will tell you all the things they can't advise on. But I would also recommend, if you have any concerns and stuff, it's free legal advice. You can always go in and double check, even if you're maybe not sure. They have a nice little scheme, and it takes around about 2 weeks to get your advice back.
Yes.
So it's definitely recommended if you are unsure, or citizen advice.
Yes.
And if you want to really cool, you do both.
You'll do, yeah. You'll be well
It's good.
prepared.
It's good to check for yourself. It's good to know those kind of things for yourself, anyways, in future.
Yes.
So it serves as good kind of life experience.
I'd
Help tackling with those kind of weird issues you're not really sure about if it's serious, if it's not.
Yeah.
Yeah, just drop them in. You can fill out a form. You can ask them things about it, and you'll get an appointment. It'll be either you can do it in person or over the laptop and stuff on like Google Meet, and yeah, I think that's it really.
Everyone's very friendly.
Free law, pro bono, check it out, and also citizen advice as well. Good start. And then if you really want to, like, you can look at. I think you could just search up the Renters' Rights Bill and have a little look for yourself. Please,
Yes.
I think as a final note, keep in mind we are not legal advisors. Even though I have just said I'm a free law
Yes.
reader, I do give legal advice.
That is in a different context on this podcast.
Yes.
Please do not treat this podcast as legal advice. This is our personal opinion and just topics that we have compiled to have a little discussion about.
Yes. And I guess that's all. I'm James.
I'm Erin.
And thank you for listening.
Thank you.